while we can definitely sniff out the nonsense, the lies, I really do think that this type of messaging resonates with Americans. I think Americans want to feel proud of their country. They do not want to hear all sorts of criticisms and negativity about the United States. And so while Dan Crenshaw's speech in particular was just full of all sorts of propaganda, the same type of propaganda that convinces disadvantaged youth to join the military and fight in endless wars, which, by the way, they then get forgotten about. We know that that's propaganda. We know it's nonsense. We know what the reality is for our troops. We know what the reality is for our veterans. But that kind of messaging, unfortunately, does resonate with a significant portion of the country, because who doesn't want to be told that we're great? Who doesn't want to be told that we're heroic? Who doesn't want to be told that we're unique and better than any other country in the world? And so I worry, because I think that the propaganda and the messaging during the RNC is a little more powerful than what we heard at the DNC.
Definitely. Fortunately, most people don't make voting decisions based on conventions, but I do feel a shift in what the country's feeling right now. I think Trump has surged a little bit, and some of the polling data has indicated that. That doesn't mean too much because Biden's lead is so sizable, but it's hard because the raw data that I'm seeing backs up Biden winning this very easily. But my instincts are screaming that they're not making the right case, the Democrats. And so I'm pretty torn because while I don't think Blackburn's speech was good, I don't think Crenshaw's speech was good. I mean, Marsha Blackburn tried to claim that, I just wrote it down, that Democrats are trying to cancel our troops. You're canceled, military. You heard it here first on TYT. Hashtag canceled.
No, I got to jump in with one quick fact.
Yeah.
Donald Trump just tried to cut $2 billion from the military budget, not for weapons, not for nonsense, private military contractor giveaways and goodies, but he wanted to cut $2 billion in healthcare for the military. That includes active duty troops and our veterans.
Republicans tried to do that for years. When Bernie Sanders was on heading the Veterans Affairs Committee, he fought tooth and nail with John McCain about these cuts. So it's just ridiculous that they have the kind of authority to speak on this and pretend they care about their veterans. It's really this warped kind of national mentality that we have when talking about soldiers and veterans. Sending you to needless wars isn't caring about you. That's just continuing to bolster up the institution which chewed you up and spat you out. What actually means caring about veterans is providing them with health care and resources when they come back mentally and physically harmed. So yes, it's just frustrating on many fronts. But all you have to do is back it up with patriotism and blind fealty to the country, and then people feel warm and fuzzy, and then it's the appearance. That's what has bothered me so much about the Trump era. So much is about the appearance of things and not the substance of things. Trump can appear to do an executive order with an eviction moratorium or lowering pharma prices, and for him, that achieves the goal. He doesn't actually have to help people's lives.
Right, we talked about that on the main show yesterday, about how he signed those executive orders to lower drug prices and then literally did not follow through on them. And so one of the executive orders was meant to ensure that Americans pay the same price for prescription drugs as European countries do or as Canada does. But after signing the executive order, he just kind of dropped it. He didn't really do anything about it. And you're right. I mean, this is what you get with a reality show host who ends up becoming president. Everything is fake. Everything is surface level. And I don't know what the right strategy is at this point to combat it, because you can yell from the rooftops all you want about what's really going on in regard to substance, but it's just not getting through to his ardent supporters, even as they're still paying the same amount of money for prescription drugs, even as, tens of millions of Americans are jobless right now, even as 177,000 Americans have died in the middle of this pandemic, thanks to Trump's incompetence. It just does not resonate with them. And I don't know what the answer is at this point.
Yeah, I had this conversation with a good friend of mine, Nash. I've had him on Rebel. He was a reporter for Time, but has left and is now out as a radical lefty. He'll admit that. He's convinced that Trump is going to win, and he lives in North Carolina. He sees the entire logging industry, that he knows a lot of people that work there that's completely backing Trump, and he's convinced that the polling data, in terms of research, is really behind and completely scattershot. And so that's kind of changed my mind as well. Strategy,
I am worried about that.
Yeah, and I said, well, how about the material conditions on the ground? And he goes, well, look, I think there's so much dishonesty in politics, and it's so convoluted that and both parties. This is the danger of when you have a Democratic Party that doesn't represent people and isn't populist, because then it muddies the waters and people think politics doesn't matter, and it doesn't. So they make their decisions based on emotion and fealty to one person or one ideology or one team, and you can then market yourself in a specific way, and the Democrats can't market themselves. So
that's such a good point.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. I think the Biden campaign is making such a giant mistake by aligning itself with Bush era Republicans as opposed to progressives who clearly have policy proposals that resonate with the majority of Americans. On single payer healthcare alone, 69% of Americans, and that includes Republicans, this is a nationally representative sample, favor single payer healthcare. And so if Biden had more of a populist message and was genuine about it, I think he would win in a landslide. But he's gonna go ahead and align himself with people who have helped him and aided him materially in this particular election. And honestly, while we might love the harshness of the Lincoln Project ads, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because there are consequences to that, and Biden has an obligation to them. And I think that it's clear in the way that he's campaigned. I think that on the surface, there's been a lot of pretend, not even like pandering, like pretend pandering toward progressives with like the task force, the progressive task force and all of that. But when you look at what he's proposing and the fact that he's still willing to say that he would veto a bipartisan single payer bill, no, I mean, he's aligning himself with Bill Kristol, and that is so incredibly devastating and depressing and really does jeopardize the future of this country. It jeopardizes the outcome of this election.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of what you said is incredibly true. I think part of it too is Biden's inability to be charismatic and dynamic. I mean, I saw this point made on Twitter talking about how Biden, Bill Clinton and Obama were such dynamic speakers and marketers of themselves. Hillary Clinton was not that, but she was better than Biden, and she lost. And Biden can't talk. Like, let's be real. I watched that interview with Kamala Harris on ABC News, and I'm even more depressed about the pick than I thought I would be. She's so fake. She's so fake. I mean, it sticks out to me even more than in the primary. I know we're going a little off the rails here, but it just blew my mind how she fake laughs. She's disingenuous with her answers. Anyone watching that goes, I don't like that. That's a politician. I don't like that. And so now I think even more that pick could really be. I can't believe I'm saying this based on polling data from the past few months. When Biden was the nominee, I was certain he'd lose to Trump. Then the pandemic hit, and then I was certain that Trump would lose. And now I don't know. I really, watching these conventions, it's so clear which one has a message and which one is doing the same thing, even a weaker T version of I'm not Trump. than was done in 2016, because Hillary at least tried to market herself as a feminist and she had some policy proposals. I mean, I do like some of the climate things and Build Back Better, whatever, they're okay. But what is he?
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.